Welcome back to Veterans Forum, a program by veterans, about veterans, for veterans and their families. I'm your co-host, Bob West, with Ray Chattery and Jerry Devlin. Our goal is to provide you with important information on legislation, benefits, support, and activities important to you and your family by interviewing leaders in our community. Jerry, who do we have with us today?
Bob, tonight we're really uniquely honored. This show has been on for several years. We've had a great many distinguished spokesmen and spokeswomen for veterans causes and veterans organizations. But tonight, the first time we have a high-ranking officer of the Department of Maryland of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And obviously the Purple Heart is an organization that every veteran and indeed every American does, or at least should, pay the highest honor to. Tonight we have the Senior Vice Commander, Richard Hollis. He's a native Georgian, and he's served, interestingly enough, basically in all three branches of the service. He was a Marine where he earned his Purple Heart at Dong Ha. He served in the Georgia and Alabama National Guards and in the CB Reserves in the Navy. He's a resident of Upper Marlboro, and he has three daughters, and he belongs to a very well-known local church, the Reed Temple, and he's a member of the Disabled American Veterans and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, as well as the high office he holds in the Military Order of the Purple Heart. I'd like to welcome you, Richard, to Veterans Forum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commander, for being here, but I have to make one little correction. My friend Jerry said you were a member of the three branches of the armed forces, and he keeps forgetting about the Air Force. It was by far.
That was a deliberate slight. I was only referring to the ones who do fighting.
No, I didn't make the Air Force.
Well, that's okay. Well, certainly welcome. And as Jerry said, we were really honored because we had never had someone represent the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and this is great. So we have an opportunity to tell our viewers more about who the Military Order of Purple Heart veterans are. A little history about the medal itself. We know George Washington is on the medal, right, and it's purple. And you can start, if you would, tell us about the history of the medal.
Well, the history of the Military of the Purple Heart itself, in the beginning it was called a badge of merit. And this was given to the troops during the time of the Revolutionary War. And after that, from that day up until 1932, then it changed. Then it was the order came down to change it to the Purple Heart. And this, for the Purple Heart, it meant that any individual that was wounded in combat or either killed in combat received the Purple Heart. Now, as far as the Purple Heart is concerned, we have 5 chapters in the state of Maryland. There are 5 chapters, and they're located in various areas. Would you like to know the areas that they're in?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have the area, one that we have locally here is the chapter 2222, Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes. And we meet at the Cheltenham Cemetery. Okay, we also have one called the Free State, chapter 122, which is located in Severn, Maryland. And we have one in Cecil County, chapter 703. Chapter 570, which is in Delmar. We also have one in Baltimore County. And as far as the Military Order of Purple Hearts is concerned, we contribute to each one of the VA hospitals, one in Baltimore, Martinburg, and also Washington, D.C., and Charlotte Hall. We also have an individual that provides services at Charlotte Hall. Last year, I think he racked up about 500 free hours there. No pay at all. At the present time, he's in the hospital with he's recuperating from a back surgery. We also have an individual that serves up at the Washington VA Medical Center. Now, we will help any, let me say this, we will help any veteran However, the only way that you can join the Military Order of Purple Heart is to be wounded. I hate to say it that way, but that is the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
You must be wounded. Now, a relative of a of a Purple Heart recipient, if the person was killed in action, the family member, which would be the wife or the children, can become an associate member. We have various excuse me. There are various outings that we have in order to try to raise money to try to help the veterans. If a veteran has a daughter or son that is college age, we have a program where we can assist them in acquiring, excuse me, dry throat, in acquiring some help to attend college. So therefore, we're not just sitting there, but we need more individuals to join the Military Order of Purple Heart. There are other veterans in this area that has been wounded and have received the Purple Heart, but we've been trying to find them.
Well, that's one of the problems we all have as service organizations, is trying to reach out and let individuals know that, first of all, we exist, and second of all, that there are benefits and programs available to them that we'd like to tell them about, because a lot of them, especially their family members, don't know about these programs.
Yes. Okay, not only that, we have a service officer. If an individual wants to apply for compensation, our service officer is there available to help prepare the paperwork so that it can be submitted to try to get the individual some compensation.
Where would people find your service officer?
Okay, now our service officer is located, oh gee, I have a card. I have a card.
I mean, locally?
He is locally.
Okay.
He is in our chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And now you may be able to reach him through me, because I can give out my number.
Mm-hmm.
My number is 301-399-2370. And that's Commander Hollis. You can call me and I can get you in touch with the service officer. We also have a person that will assist people that are trying to commit suicide. We have a suicide officer also.
So you have a suicide prevention program.
We do have a suicide prevention program.
And is that somebody that could be reached 24 hours a day, or is that?
Well, he's supposed to be able to be reached 24 hours a day, but however, he's been pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
And if he calls someone that's in the chapter itself, we will try to get some assistance. However, I think it was last year that we did have an individual that was taken up to the Washington VA hospital. Mm-hmm. that was trying to commit suicide, and one of our patrons took him up there to help assist him. Mm-hmm. And also, we we provide. I don't know if y'all did anything in reference to the Winter Haven that they had at the Washington Medical Center last month.
Well, our organizations were probably represented there.
Now we provided donuts for the whole crew there. We provided over 60 dozen of donuts up there. Mm-hmm. And we do this every year to help the veterans. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if any veteran family member need any assistance, whether they are a member or not, we will try to assist them or either point them in the right direction.
One of the things that we do locally is we participate in Bowie Fest, which is the first Saturday in June, and it's run by the city. And it's been extremely helpful to all of us, because we have a tent set up from each of our organizations, and we pass out literature to people who come by Allen's Pond, and it's an all-day event. And it's one of the ways that we've been reaching out to let people know we exist. And then we tell them about the DAV on 197, and now we have a sign out there, and people know where we are. So, the whole idea is how to get in contact. And there's a lot of young families there, and that's what we're finding out, a good source for veterans would be.
Well, well, this is true. We tried to set up. Well, there are various places that we have set up our stands in order to try to reach the public. However, with the weather being like it is, it's been a little difficult at the present time. And some of the places people don't want us to be. But we are trying to reach out to the community so that we may get some Purple Heart recipients in so that they can understand and know what we are doing for them and know some of the things, because a lot of them do not know some of the services that can be offered.
Well, that's one of the problems that we see all the time, is reaching out and then letting them know the benefits that they've earned.
Right. Even if an individual has been in the military and retired, he can also take his wife and take her up there and have her get service at the VA hospital. But now I know there's a limitation on that, but they can go by that limitation and be assisted. And there are many things that a veteran can get if they apply themselves. But one thing about it, it just won't walk out there and be handed to you.
Well, that's what we always say, Jerry, is nobody's going to walk up to your door, and we understand that you need some service, and we're here to provide it.
Right, because a lot of times I go to the commissary, and I run across people over there, and I ask them, are they affiliated with various organizations? And the first thing they'll tell me, no, I don't want to be bothered. And so you can't twist their arm and make them join.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Those are the people who complain that the government isn't doing anything for me. Did you ever go and ask?
That's right.
Well, that's absolutely true. And one guy, because the system was slow, they didn't do anything for me. Well, it take time. It take time. And of course, I could have said the same thing too, but I still fight and try to get something.
Well, one of the biggest problems is initially trying to get them simply to sign up for the VA, because they'll come out of the service, and I keep telling everybody, well, have you signed up for the VA yet? Well, no, I'm okay. I said, well, maybe not. You need to sign up. And that's one of the problems with the Marine Corps, Jerry, back in the time when you were down there at Paris Island, and they had the polluted water program down there.
That's Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we call it Lejeune.
Lejeune.
And somehow they can't. The Commandant of the Marine Corps says you're supposed to call it Lejeune. Nobody does, but but I do.
Well, as far as recruitment is concerned, I was in a meeting last Monday, and they are up in Baltimore. They are having a recruitment drive to try to get the veterans to join, to sign up for the VA. But I don't know how it's going to work. But we're waiting to see how it's going to work.
Well, one of the things that I had heard was when you get discharged, that you're going to have to opt out of not getting enrolled into the VA, as opposed to the way it was when I was in, which you had to opt in.
Right. And then, of course, the Federal Privacy Act forbids the government from giving names to the organizations.
Who put that in?
That's called the law of unanticipated consequences.
Yeah, because we tried to do that with the Maryland Secretary George Owens. We said, how do we get a copy of that list that you get? And no, you can't get that.
Well, like I said, but anyway, there are various avenues that each individual, because I know each individual has their own separate problems and everything. So like I said, we will try. If we don't have it readily available, I'm sure that there's something that we can do to assist these individuals, because we do work with the other service organization, DAV, VFW, Marine Corps League, you name it. We work with them because we don't mind. So we all serve under the same flag.
Right. Absolutely.
We also,
and where did you say your chapter meets?
we meet at The Cheltenham Cemetery has an administration building. We meet in the administration building at 10 o'clock each second Saturday.
They're very good people down there. They're going to be the last to let you down.
Yeah,
I have a plot reserved there.
He
I think
has
my
it.
wife would like me to fill it sooner rather than later.
Well, even if you're not a member, we would welcome you to come down to the meeting because of the fact we each time we have a meeting, we try to put out something that'll be very crucial and to help each veteran.
Is your chapter for Prince George's County, or?
The chapter is more or less for Prince George's County. However, the next closest one will be up in Glen Burnie.
So that's Anne Arundel County.
Yes.
And then it said Cecil County.
Then you have Cecil County, then you got one on the eastern shore.
Okay. So your territory is much larger than most of our other posts in the other service organizations, because we're a bit smaller.
Well, you're pretty selective. I mean, you.
Yeah.
Well, the veteran reform was, I thought.
Well, with the one here in, I'm the commander here in Bowie, and so we're really Bowie, Laurel, and Crofton. In that general area is where our post territory would be, because we actually have 3 other posts just in northern Prince George's County. We have another district in southern Prince George's County.
Well, because I'm in 9619.
Yeah. Okay.
So now that is in which?
You're in. That's District 1.
That's District 1. You District.
We're District 2.
Well, you have the largest number of chapters, don't you?
Well, that's only because we had
Legion.
Yeah,
You got a lot in Maryland.
Yeah, we do have a lot. We have a lot in Maryland.
DAV has 1. Marine Corps League has 1.
Yeah, that's usually because my experience with the DAV is they're more likely to have their meetings at a VFW or American Legion post, as opposed to having their own
And
post
National
home.
doesn't seem to like to have local posts either.
No, it doesn't seem that way, because there aren't very many DAV post homes around.
They're always giving us a hard time.
Mm-hmm. There's one in Marathon Island in Florida, which I would highly recommend. It's in the Keys.
What, VFW?
Marathon Key. No, it's a DAV.
DAV.
Oh, really?
It's a really large one. Yeah, it was a very welcoming place. You said that you have some fundraisers. What do you do to raise funds?
Well, the 21st of April, we have a banquet coming up to try to raise money. The banquet will be at Post 9619 over on Allentown Road.
Where?
Allentown Road.
Okay.
You know what the Post.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a fundraiser on that particular time. When we come back to the meeting, come back to our joint veterans meeting, I will bring out some tickets if all possible, and we'll love to see you in the place.
Mm-hmm.
That, and then, like I said, and then we go out to various places and try to set up stands and try to raise money.
Are you coming to the Veteran of the Year thing?
Yes.
On St. Patrick's Day? It's here in Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Veteran,
Well, no,
yes.
it's not. It's
No.
it's moved this year.
That's
It's not.
it's
not
not
up
Saint
here
it's not
anymore.
St. Patrick's.
No.
It's about March 17th. Yeah.
That's St. Patrick's Day.
Yep. I tell you, I'm a legitimate Irishman. You can take it to the bank.
So that's one of your fundraisers. You sell the tickets, and
Yes. and we like I said, we set up stands at grocery stores and different places.
okay. So I mean, the VFW does Buddy Poppy.
We also have Buddy Poppies too.
Okay.
Yes.
How are you doing it pretty well?
Well, it's been kind of slow the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm vice president of the British Royal Marines, and in England, they sell poppies for what they call Veterans Day. It's called Remembrance Day. The British Legion makes 50 million pounds a year, and everyone in England has a red poppy.
Where do you typically do your Buddy Poppy?
Well, we've done them at Andrews Air Force Base,
Mm-hmm.
and we've done them down in Leonardtown, Maryland. We are down there. We get we get a pretty good turnout down there
Mm-hmm.
so far. So we got when the weather changes, we're gonna have to try to do something up in this area.
Yeah, we used to be at the Kmart in Crofton. See, again, it's in our area,
Right.
but we're no longer there. We're up at Safeway, and that seems to be a pretty good place for us.
Right. And now it's also we celebrate we celebrate George Washington's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We have a wreath laying ceremony out at over in Virginia at his tomb every year. Also on August the 7th, which is the Military Order Purple Heart Day, we have a ceremony that day out there. And so the majority of the Purple Heart recipients are from Virginia and various places around. They try to meet up out there for that celebration.
Now, one of the other things that you do is on Christmas Day, you're down at Cheltenham
Well,
because the people who work there are off that day. Is that what that is?
well, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day.
Oh, so there's three of them. Okay.
It's 3 days. So that the employees can be off that day,
Mm-hmm.
those days, we will go down there. We will open up the cemetery so that the people can come by and come and visit, and we can, if somebody need any assistance, we will give them assistance and try to help them locate their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 days that we provide for them, and we have people that we'll sign up from 8 till 4 in the afternoon.
That's amazing, that
Yeah.
that you take over that
It's a wonderful
responsibility.
thing to do.
Yeah.
Do you have a state convention?
Yes, we have a state convention. Our state convention will be in May in Ocean City. It'll be the 21st, the 22nd through the 25th of May.
Where? Which?
In Ocean City at the Carousel
Oh,
Hotel.
yeah, most of our veterans organizations at the Princess Royal,
Mm-hmm.
or the American Legions at the Convention Center.
Well, because of
The numbers they have,
Yeah.
huge
Yeah,
numbers.
cheap.
It's always about a little, yeah.
well, we get a fairly decent deal,
Mm-hmm.
and so we already booked it for this year and next year.
Mm-hmm.
Now we will have a national convention. The national convention will be in Spokane, Washington,
Oh.
this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good trip.
Yeah, that is. That'd be a nice place. You said some of your members actually go to the VA hospital. And what kind of support do they provide there?
Well, anything that veterans need up in that area, we will try to, this individual goes up there and he will more or less communicate with the top-notch people up there to try to get things taken care of. If a person is having a problem, he more or less like a go-between as far as problems is concerned.
So he's like a facilitator.
More or less
Or-
like a facilitator, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I know some organizations used to try and take donuts up there and all that kind of stuff, and they've stopped all of that.
Well, we do that once a year when they have Winter Haven. Now, Winter Haven, I don't know if you ever been up there or not, but this is when they have a large number of veterans come up there. They have all kind of service to offer them at that time. They even give them clothing, because our post 9619 provided, I think, about 40 backpacks with all kind of items in there for them, for the homeless, and they give them a little everything up there.
Yeah, and that's that's another area that all the service organizations are trying to support, and that is homeless veterans. Do you have a program?
No, we really don't, but right at the present time. However, the Veterans Commission here in Prince George's County, they're trying to get something like that started.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing close that we have at the present time is MacVet,
Right. Yeah, in
that-
Baltimore.
which is a good program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they said that they will come down and pick up an individual if they want to go up there for the service.
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of hard to get people that want to leave.
Well, yeah. Are you on the Prince George's Commission for
Yes,
veterans?
yes, I am.
Are you the Purple Heart delegate?
Yes, I'm the person.
Who's chairman nowadays?
You would ask me that.
I know Andy Martell from here is on it.
He's a
AMVETS.
Vets guy.
he's an assistant.
Oh,
He's assistant chairman. I can't think of the guy's name at the present time.
well, that's okay. But it's still going, and that's still
It's
part.
still going.
Okay.
Yes.
And both of us serve with great distinction in that body.
Yeah, a few years ago. Is there anything else that the Purple Heart is doing? You said there's an individual that spends 500 hours down at Charlotte Hall.
Right. Okay. Now, what he was doing when he was there, he would assist any of the patrons that needed an assistant. If they had to go someplace and be moved around in a wheelchair, or something like that, he would also assist the employees there. But like I said, at the present time, he just recently had to have back surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke to him a couple of days ago, so he's not doing too well.
Mm-hmm. And so you have your fundraisers, and the purpose of the fundraisers is, of course, to support veterans.
To support veterans. There is an amount of money that we do give out to the various hospitals
Mm-hmm.
and Charlotte Hall.
And do you designate that money for a specific purpose, or do you do something like individually, or how do you do that?
Last year we did do something. We had one individual that we donated $500 to him to give to the Charlotte Hall. However, we do not tell them what to do with the money.
Okay. Well, you have a very impressive program, and certainly, as Jerry said, I mean, we're certainly honored to have the members of the Military Order of the Purple Heart and you, Commander Hollis, for being our guest. Now we ask you, as our veterans audience, to stop by the DAV on Route 197 or the American Legion on Laurel Bowie Road and find out about the benefits and services that are available to you. We ask you to come out and see us. We ask for family members to stop by and get that information also. Again, we want to thank Commander Hollis for being our guest, and we want to thank you for watching another Veterans Forum.